Hey kids, Missenden Flyer here, hope you're well, and welcome to part 2 of the bike news review for June 2019. If you haven't seen part 1, posted that a couple of days ago, you might want to go back and see that first and then come back and join me for part 2. I've got 3 more papers to go through and give you the highlights that I've seen in those papers from the last month, and I've got some parish notices about what's coming up on the channel in the next few days. So if you're interested in that, stick around and stay tuned. Alright, without further ado then, let's crack on with the bike news. So this first paper to go through, first story I've picked out here, a polite vest ruined my life. Now this is an interesting one, you must have seen these before, these Think bike fluorescent jackets that you see around. I've seen horse riders riding these as well, it's certainly fooled me in the past. I've been on my dirt bike out on trails and seen a horse rider wearing a polite vest, and I genuinely thought they were police riders. Goodness knows what I thought they were doing out on a bridleway in Buckinghamshire, but there we go, it fooled me. And that is, of course, the reason I think why people wear these vests. It makes people look like police, it slows cars down around them, and although I know the police in some instances have said that they haven't got a problem with people wearing these, I do think it's, you know, why else would somebody wear one of these fluorescent jackets that say polite in that way that looks just like police, you know, on their bike, particularly if you're riding something like, I don't know, an FJR1300 or an RT that's white and you've got a white helmet, you look exactly like a police officer. So this guy here, this story here, this fellow actually got a guy called Darren Emanuel, 47, an independent financial consultant. He's been a biker for many years. He was riding an ex-police BMW R1200 RT, got stopped, and basically he kicked up a bit of a stink that had been stopped, because the policeman that stopped him said he was, you know, impersonating a police officer. He said he wasn't, but anyway, he ended up going to court about it and ended up getting convicted and handed a conditional discharge and ordered to pay £670. Now, he claims it's, you know, it's created an awful lot of trouble for him. Well, I would say, well, don't dress up like a policeman in the first place. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this, because you do see quite a few of these around. I'm not tempted to get one. I'm not saying I'm anti-high-vis by any means, although, in fact, the police told me if you're going to go high-vis, get the pink ones, because they're more effective, not these yellow ones. What do you think of these polite things? Should they be banned? I personally think that they should probably be made illegal, because I can see no other reason why somebody would wear one with the blue checks on it, with polite written in that way, unless they're trying to impersonate a police officer. Which clearly isn't a good thing. All right, then whinge over. Next story here, Aprilia's Super Twin closing in. This is the new Aprilia RS660. Again, another of these concept bikes that we're hoping to see at the Milan show in November. It looks absolutely incredible. It's got a bit of a cross between S1000RR and Panigale to me, and it's also on this picture here, the patent drawings that we've seen. It's got this sort of aero going on at the front that gives it a nice wide look at the front and makes it look very purposeful. I think it looks incredible. But the beauty of this to me is that it's, you know, it's a 660cc parallel twin. So again, it's a step back to the Supersport type bikes. We've been seeing so many of these liter bikes coming out, and that Supersport class has been somewhat neglected. To see a major manufacturer getting back in there with a bike that looks like this would be a great road bike. You would be able to tap into the power that this bike gives you. I don't know how much it's going to cost. It'll be fascinating to see. So I'm going to be really watching this closely in the next few months, because that's a bike that I would very much like to ride. It looks beautiful. And if the price is right, I think that would fly off the shelves as a bike that you could ride every day on the roads and not get into stupid amounts of trouble. I dare say it will still be very quick, but nonetheless, that's something that can be there competing with the likes of the R6, which is still out there but doesn't sell very well, and of course the Panigale 959, but even that 959 is dangerously close, isn't it, to a litre bike. So yeah, this is a great idea. More sports bikes at the 600cc end of the market, please. Okay, thank you Aprilia for doing that. Next story here, save it for the track. Another letter here. This is the letters page. I'm amused about this, because if you saw part 1, you will see that I wrote an article for MCN a couple of weeks back where I said that getting your knee down, working on your chicken strips and doing wheelies on the road was something that you shouldn't do, and I thought it was daft to do it, and it was just a sort of snobby thing, boasting rights that you can do that. Then there was a letter that was made letter of the week that somebody disagreeing with me. Now there's a letter the following week, somebody agreeing with me, saying, brilliant blog off from TMF. There is a time and a place for some types of so-called expertise. The road is not the place. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Dave Franklin. Thank you very much. I'm so chuffed that that particular article that I wrote has caused so many letters to go in. It's absolutely brilliant, because it just shows that people are reading them, so that's great. Anyway, so thank you, Dave, for your support on that one if you're watching. All right, next story. King of the Mountain. We scale Mount Etna and Sicily's finest roads to find 2019's best superbike, and MCN here have done one of these group tests where they put together the S1000RR from BMW, the Aprilia RSV4 factory, and the Panigale V4S Corsa from Ducati. Now I've ridden all of these except for the Aprilia, or bikes of this type, and let's face it, they're all absolutely lovely bikes. I love these bikes. I've ridden the S1000RR, the normal one, not the M package, and I've ridden the V4, the standard, I think it was the V4R I rode, was it? Or, no, it might have been the V4S, but it didn't have the course package, but both beautiful, beautiful bikes. They both look lovely. They're both laden with technology as feats of engineering. They are masterpieces. I love them to look at, but on the road, too much in my opinion. I wouldn't buy one, I don't think, because unless you're on track, you can't tap into the performance, as I've said many times before. Anyway, let's see what the verdict was from MCN, because that is quite a test. These are amazing bikes. By the way, the BMW is 19,700 quid. The Ducati 25,700 and the Aprilia 21.5. So BMW cheapest, Ducati most expensive. They've given the Aprilia 4 stars out of 5 and the other two 5 out of 5. So not much to split between them. They're saying they're all good, and quite often I criticise MCN for not splitting their reviews more, because it's quite hard if you're a buyer to decide then between the Panigale and the BMW. But if you read the text, they've said that the BMW narrowly wins, just as an overall better bike. Let's see what they say here. BMW have again brought something fresh to the Superbike party, just like they did in 2010. They're talking about things like the shift cam motor as well, flexibility on the road, etc. And they're saying that the Aprilia is an uncompromising superbike, but just a bit too stiff on the road, doesn't have electronic suspension, things like that. A masterpiece of grunt and a formidable track machine, but outshined by the Ducati and the BMW. So there we go. Which actually, I'm not a racing expert or a superbike expert, but having ridden both those, I too, as much as I'm a Ducati fan, I too think the BMW has probably got the edge on the Ducati. But both amazing bikes. If you get a chance to ride one, particularly on the track, have a go. They'll blow your mind. They're amazing bikes. Wouldn't surprise me if one of those isn't the MCN bike of the year this year. What have we got here? Yes, Triumph North London is go. I mentioned this because this is a new bike dealer that's opened up in Watford, which isn't that far away from me. I mentioned it because you may have seen some of my Triumph reviews on my channel. I used to do out of Hemel Hempstead at a place called Hart's Triumph, which was owned by Palmer's Group. They've actually sold that dealership out now to this group, to Lind Automotive, and they've opened up a new dealership in Watford, closed down the one in Hemel that I used to use. So I'm going to have to befriend these guys in Watford now. In fact, I'll be going there soon anyway, so I'm hoping to do that, because I'm hoping I'm going to be able to continue to borrow Triumphs from them when I want to do reviews of new bikes as they come out. Rocket 3, anyone? So interesting. It's a bit of a shame that Hart's Triumph has gone. Those were friendly guys, and I used to like going down there. It's dead local for me. Watford is a bit more of a pain to get to, but I will be checking these guys out. But just to let you know, if you're a Hart's Triumph user, don't despair. You can now go to Watford. I know it's not quite the same spot, but it's not a million miles away, because North London. And they've taken on some of the guys as well from Hart's Triumph, by the way. So some of your favourite people are now working there. So don't think they've been, they're out of a job or anything. Okay, last story in this paper. Fantastic Feeling is the headline here. And this is the Caballero from Fantic. It's a really beautiful looking bike. A lot of people have mentioned this to me actually via various comments and messaging on social media and so on, asking if I've had a go on this. This is the Caballero Scrambler, 6349 on the road. Beautiful looking machine. What I like about this is it's, I think it's Italian. I think it may have a Chinese engine. I'm not too sure. Not that that particularly matters. But the beauty of this is it's a 500cc, so a bigger engine. There are a few points I've highlighted out here. So this is, it says that it can match the Fantic, let's start again. This bike has got basically it's saying it competes well with the Ducati Scrambler. Okay, the Scrambler's got a bigger V2 engine, but this is there as far as fit and finish is concerned. The Scrambler from Ducati is 39 kilograms heavier. This one is more agile and more of a hoot to ride, according to Hyvee, who's my favourite road tester at MCM. And to summarise at the end, this is put simply, the Fantic is the light, affordable, cheeky Scrambler Ducati should have built but never could. So, high praise indeed. I think it looks great. I must find out a bit more about that engine actually in it to find out exactly what that is. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments. I can't see off the top of it. Ah, yes, the engine is built by Zhongshan in China. Again, not necessarily a bad thing. These people make an awful lot of engines, and certainly if Hyvee rates it, then that's good enough for me. But 6349 on the road, 500cc, brilliant size engine for real world riding. It looks like it probably could scramble. It's old school, great pricing. What more do you want? yeah, really want to have a go on one of those as soon as I can. So Fantic, if you're watching, can I have a go on one of your Caballeros? That would be amazing. All right, that's it. On to the next paper then. First story, naked Ducati V4 unleashed. Now, in part one of the bike news, we show some early spy shots of this. Oops, made a mess of the picture. This now is a clear picture of the new prototype Streetfighter V4 that Ducati are bringing out based on the Panigale. Not sure about it, actually. From the front, I quite like the looks of it. It looks like, I mean, it's a bit disguised in this tape. I assume this is disguised tape, not the final colour scheme. The front has got sort of a mini Panigale praying mantis type head, which I'm not too sure about. I think I like it. It's not as nice as a Panigale to look at. But what I don't like about it is this side here. Now, on the Panigale, the side is all covered. The engine is mostly covered by fairing. It covers up all the pipework for the engine and a lot of what is not, which really looks like kind of washing machine componentry. I think on this Streetfighter, if they had kept that lower part of the fairing and covered up the engine, it would have looked better. But there we go. That's just my personal opinion. So for me, I'd rather have a Panigale than this, but of course this will be more upright, a bit more practical on the road perhaps, maybe a little bit more comfortable to ride. And the back end and everything looks lovely. I just wish the engine was a bit nicer to look at, which often engines are good, but this one not particularly. Is it just me thinking like that, or do you agree that this isn't a particularly great bike to look at? Anyway, so there we go. They're saying it's going to be on sale next spring, so we'll see the final version again, I guess, at the Milan show. Okay, next story here. Now, so many people have spoken to me and sent me messages about this noise cameras coming. This is the news story that hit the BBC actually a couple of weeks ago. It made the TV news that the government are going to start, like having speed cameras that flash when you're going too fast, putting noise cameras around to detect people with noisy exhaust. What a nightmare if this happens. Unbelievable. Because apparently, whoever it is, Chris Grayling is the numpty transport secretary that's saying that we should do this, because apparently Britain is in absolute misery and because of the noise that it's hearing from exhaust, and it creates very serious health impacts. What? What serious health impacts can possibly come from having a noisy exhaust, except the rider having impact on his ears if he's not wearing earplugs, and that's his choice. Unbelievable, this. So this, I'm absolutely against this. This is nanny state gone mad. I had somebody actually, apologies I can't remember your name, but wrote to me and said that these already exist in some parts of Canada, where if you ride past and your bike is deemed to be too noisy, you get a fine in the post. So a bit like speed cameras, it takes a picture of your number plate, there's a microphone, detects if you go over a certain decibel range, and then you get a fine in the post. They're going to trial this apparently down in Cornwall, I think, somewhere. Unbelievable. In fact, the CEO of the Motorcycle Industry Association, Tony Gamble, he's actually backed it up and said he thinks it's a great idea. What is going on here? This is just a nightmare. Anyway, so noise cameras, not keen on that at all. Next story on the same page, moving down, £25,000 Triumph Rocket 3 TFC now sold out in the UK. Now this is the Rocket 3 that we've talked about a lot here on Bike News. I love the look of this machine. But if you wanted the TFC one, which is the expensive one, it is now sold out. So you're going to have to wait for the production version, which I don't think to this day Triumph have actually confirmed there's going to be a normal production version, but it'd be inconceivable for there not to be. But for the first time, in them saying that this has been sold out, they have revealed some figures as well, which are slightly better than we thought before. So the power output is actually confirmed as 179.5 brake horsepower. Quite a lot for a big old cruiser, and the weight, dry weight, 290 kilograms. Now that may sound like a lot, and it is indeed a lot, but it is still 44.5 kilograms lighter than the previous generation Rocket 3. So that's a definite improvement. 290 kilograms for that big old beast with its 2.5 litre engine on the motorcycle. Just nuts. Can't wait to see what the production version looks like. We saw spy shots on the last Bike News, so it's definitely coming. But anyway, if you want the TFC version, the Triumph Factory Custom, too late, I'm afraid. They've all been sold out. There's going to be some happy people getting those in the meantime. Okay, next story here. We'll find the right one. Here we go. Interceptor 650 tops the naked bike list. Now this again, this is an interesting story. I don't want to go on and on about the Interceptor 650 because I've been talking about it and producing videos on my channel for a while about this now. But the registration figures faltered a bit last month. But the good news story here, at least as far as I'm concerned, is the Royal Enfield's Interceptor. It's got the top sales spot for the third month in a row. It's basically outselling all other nakeds, and it's top of the 125 to 650 category. So it's absolutely flying off the shelves, as we predicted here on Bike News when we first saw it a couple of years ago. The Royal Enfield Interceptor really is selling well, outselling. Somebody told me, I don't know if this is true, but somebody said that it's outselling all the Triumphs put together. which is that because the pricing is so right and people feel that they can, you know, it's not so much money to blow on the bike, or is it just because it's a good bike, or is it both? Probably both, I think. Anyway, very interesting. That is literally flying out of the showrooms now, which is great news as far as I'm concerned. I'm really hoping that they're going to bring out some new versions of it as well, and I think they are. But anyway, I like to think of them as an Anglo-Indian company now. They've got their development centre up in Bruntingthorpe, but I love the fact that it's got a British heritage. Again, I know it's made in India, and of course it's an Indian company, so all credit to those guys for getting the company back to where it is now, and best of luck to them. Right, moving on. Next story here. Yeah, this is interesting. McGregor joins Guzzi. This little story down here, and this is a little bit of a whinge I was going to have really, which is probably based on jealousy. But go with me here. McGregor has agreed to be a brand ambassador for Moto Guzzi, and apparently, and this is the bit I've highlighted here, he reportedly only agreed to promote the new rugged but retro-looking 853cc V-twin if he genuinely liked it. Now that implies that there are brand ambassadors out there that are promoting bikes as brand ambassadors, but they don't actually like them. That's the implication I get from that anyway. But surprise, surprise, he did like the bike, so he's going to be a brand ambassador. Now the bit that I was going to whinge about, the bit that I said where the jealousy comes in, is maybe not so much in the case of Ewan McGregor, because he clearly is an enthusiastic motorcyclist, and of course he's done a lot for the sales of adventure bikes. So fair enough in the case of Ewan McGregor. But I think some companies like Triumph are just going nuts with these brand ambassadors, where they give people that don't even ride motorcycles bikes to become a brand ambassador. Classic cases, a couple of Olympians recently. I haven't got anything against them personally, and I can't even remember the names of them, but the woman that did the skeleton bob, she's very easy on the eye, very lovely lady, but it looks to me, I don't know for sure, but it looks to me like Triumph have put her through a test just so they can give her a bike, so they can then wheel her out at launches because she looks glamorous and stick her on bikes, and blokes love beautiful women and bikes, don't they? I'm all for that, but I just making her a brand ambassador when she's not even a motorcyclist. There are a couple, it's Amy someone, isn't it? And there's another lady as well who I think might have been judo or a boxer or something like that. Another Triumph brand ambassador, same story, couldn't ride a bike. They gave her the test and then gave her the bike and off she goes. It just grates on me a little bit, and this is where the jealousy bit comes in, the whinge comes in, because I think I've probably done quite a bit for the likes of manufacturers like Triumph, with the reviews and so on. You know, as a Triumph owner and a Triumph fan, I'm always promoting Triumph bikes. They do lend me bikes for sure up at the factory, but you know, I don't get paid or anything for that, and I'm certainly not a brand ambassador. They don't give me a bike to keep or anything like that. Yet I would imagine, I don't know, but I'd like to think I'd probably do more good for their brand than people like Amy, what's her name, who looks attractive but can't even ride a bike. Anyway, whinge over. How do you think on that one? I hope some of you agree with me there. I just think having brand ambassadors that aren't actually anything to do with motorcycling is a step too far. Fair enough, if you're going to use Carl Fogarty as your brand ambassador, as CCM do, of course, you know, multiple world champion, and of course that makes sense. Or indeed, you know, Charlie Borman, Ewan's friend, because of course they've got a background in biking. Fair enough, those guys are famous and have got some track record, but don't give them to people that aren't even bikers. That's just taking the mickey, isn't it? All right, last story from this paper. Then we've got one more paper to quickly whiz through. How are we doing for time? I don't want to go on for too long. And then we'll get to some parish notices. Planet Shrinkers, one of these head-to-head reviews. Is this the story I'm in? Just make sure. No, it isn't. Whoops. Moving back, so back here to John McGinnis. He has a regular weekly column in here, McPint they call the column. And I just want to say, I want to agree with him here, electrics are just amazing to ride. And here John McGinnis is basically defending electric bikes. Lots of people say, oh, I never have an electric bike. You know, I'm a petrol head. I love the smell and the sound of internal combustion engines. I get all that. I'm a petrol head too. I love that stuff too. But if you haven't ridden an electric bike, have a go on one before you slag them off. It's a completely different experience. I've ridden a few electric bikes now and electric scooters. They go like stink. They're such good fun. I'm not saying in my garage they'll ever replace all my internal combustion engine bikes. In fact, they definitely won't. I'll always have those. But an electric bike or two as well would be a great addition, I have to say. So don't poo-poo them till you've ridden on them. Alrighty, that's it for that paper. One more to go and then we'll get on to parish notices. Just a couple of stories here I've picked out. First one, hope I can remember what it was all about. Find the right page. Here we are. Refreshed MTO7 plays catch-up. Now this story leapt out at me because I was just a bit surprised. The MTO7 from Yamaha, a bike that I still think of as a new bike. Would you believe it was released in 2014 and it hasn't really been updated since. So that's, you know, 5 years it's been around. Where has that time gone? So anyway, they're coming out with an update of it. I don't think I've ever actually ridden a standard MTO7. I've ridden the Tracer 700 based on it. But anyway, Yamaha have decided it's getting a bit long in the tooth. Needs a a refresh when compared against its rivals. It's getting things like, we think, a TFT dash on it, which it didn't have before. The motor, MCN are speculating, may have some internal updates. And maybe some different riding modes and so on, and traction control modes going to be changed as well. What else we've got? And some changes as well, given by the fact that this is disguised the bodywork. No doubt some new bodywork as well to make it look a bit sharper. So just a bit of a midlife refresh. But the point of that one is the MTO7's been around since 2014. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. All right, next story here. What was this one? Sporty little thrillers. These are A2 license-friendly sports bikes. And again, I'm just a big fan. I love sports bikes. I love the looks of them. I think they're beautiful things. But as we mentioned before, big litre sports bikes are just getting too much for the road. If you go down this route, these are A2 license-friendly sports bikes. The Honda CBR500R and the Yamaha R3. I can't remember. I don't think I've ridden the R3. I'd like to. And I haven't ridden the 500R either. So I'm not talking about these in any position of authority whatsoever. I am going to be getting the Honda CBR500R later in the year for a longer term test. Honda have very kindly said that I can borrow one for a couple of weeks from them, which I think will be the first Honda I've had on loan long term. So I'm really looking forward to get my hands on that. It looks like, you know, a Fireblade, doesn't it, actually? So that can't be a bad thing. And the R3 looks very much like an R1 as well. So if you're new to biking and you like sports bikes and you want to go down that route, these are great bikes to cut your teeth on, aren't they? And again, real world bikes that you could use all their performance on the bike, on the road. It'd be absolutely amazing. The verdict on this one, what did MCN make of them both? It gave the Yamaha 3 out of 5 and the Honda 4 out of 5. So it prefers the Honda, which is about £700 more expensive, which is quite a big chunk, isn't it? The Honda being £6,099, the Yamaha £5,299. So that's the one that came out on top. A little bit more power and a little bit more grunt torque-wise than the Yamaha. That's the one they preferred. But there you go. Both, I think they both look great bikes. And if you're new to biking, you've got an A2 licence, maybe look down this route for your first bike and learn your craft on that. Brilliant. Okay. Next story, a little bit of a devil. This is incredible. Now, Hyvzee's been out riding again, and this is on a new Benelli 502C. And what bike does this remind you of? I mean, this is just incredible, isn't it? I've highlighted some text here. It says here that Benelli, of course, being the Italian manufacturer of old, that now has a relationship. I think the bikes are actually made in China. And Hyvzee is saying here in the bit I've highlighted, is in fact nowadays Chinese manufacturing has come on so much that these can hold their head up against Japanese rivals. There's nothing wrong with this. He said, now as good as their rivals and a step up from previous generation machines, and in fact it's way better, he's saying, than the previous real Benellis of old, such as the Tornado and TNT. These are actually much nicer. So basically Hyvzee, and again I take his word for it, and I believe what Hyvzee says. He's a top bloke. Never met him, but he seems to be a nice guy. That this bike is, the fit and finish is lovely on it, and he praises it a lot when you read the verdict. But look at it. I mean, talk about a copy of a Diavolo or what? It hasn't got the fat tyre that the Diavolo's got, but I'm amazed how companies can get away with this. That is such a blatant copy to me. I don't know how the patenting works of an image of a shape of a bike, but if I was Ducati, I might be a little bit miffed about this, particularly as it's in theory another Italian company that's done it. But it does look beautiful, doesn't it? And the price on this, $5,499 for something that looks like a Diavolo. And Hyvzee says rides really nice as well. Of course, it's not in the same league as a Diavolo in terms of its power, etc. But it does look nice. If you like this style of bike, then go for it. It only puts out 47 brake horsepower from its 500cc parallel twin. But I bet it's a bundle of fun to ride. So there you go. If you fancy a Diavolo but can't quite stretch there, or haven't got the full licence, then check this one out. Great stuff. Fun up to around 80 miles per hour, he says. Okay, and the last story before we get to Parish Notices. This one here, this is Practical Classics is an item that MCN run regularly. It's about affordable bikes that you can buy from the past. And this time they've mentioned this one, the Honda CBR900RR Fireblade. For 4,000 quid, they're saying you can pick this up. This is the original bike from 1993 or 1992-ish. Reason I mention this is I recently was very lucky to ride one of these. I've done another Reader's Rise. It's in the can. It's coming down the line. I can't remember exactly what date. It's a little way off. But I rode one of these at the weekend, and I have to say I was stunned by it. For a 26-year-old motorcycle, having just ridden the BMW S1000RR, this did not feel that much well, it did feel different, but it didn't feel like there were 26 years between them. It was smooth to ride. It handled beautifully. It felt really light. It felt a lot bigger than the RR, but it felt really light. It didn't have the punch that the RR's got. but it was a very, very nice bike to ride. If you like sports bikes, you can't afford the new one, there is no problem getting an older classic like this. Look, if you could find one for £4 grand, that is an awful lot of bike for £4 grand, and you'd have an awful lot of fun on it. Okay, there we go. So that's it for the news review. I said I'd bring you some parish notices, some news about what's coming up on the channel if you're interested. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out to you. First thing, must just say thanks to my sponsor of bike news, which is Custom Fit Guys. They're the guys that make the custom earplugs that you see me wearing, particularly on my tours, but I wear them pretty much all the time. Do go and check them out, give them some love. Links below in the description for their website. And also, if you go and look at their YouTube channel, which is called Team CFG, you'll see an interview with me on there as well. I'm trying to get the views on that up because I want my interview to be the one that's got the most views other than the other interviews they've done. I think I'm winning at the moment, but I want to bolster that a bit more. Anyway, go check that out if you haven't seen that already. Little interview with how I got into vlogging, that sort of thing. If you're interested in that, it's worth going to check them out. Team CFG is their YouTube channel, but it's Custom Fit Guards. Thank you to those guys for sponsoring the channel. They make it possible. Right, what's coming up then? So on Monday, this coming Monday, a video that I've been looking forward to bringing to you for ages. I've filmed it about a month ago. This is part one of two parts of when I met Henry Cole. You know, from the bike show. What a lovely guy he is. I was really lucky. I went down to his place down in Oxfordshire, and he showed me around his sheds, and we just talked about bikes and chewed the cud. It was a great couple of hours I had with Henry. Thank you very much, Henry, for having me down, and I think you're going to love the videos that we put together. So first one is coming on Monday of that one, so do look out for that if you're a Henry Cole fan. Then on Thursday the 11th, another exciting thing for the channel, new motorcycle reveal. I've got a new bike in the garage. I'm not going to say what it is now, but I'll do the reveal of that on Thursday the 11th. So next Thursday, check out that video. I'm going to show you what my new bike is. I think it might be a bit of a surprise to you. Then in terms of reviews coming up between now and the next live stream that I'll be doing, I'm looking more at the KTM 790 Adventure R. I've been borrowing that. I've done comprehensive rides and reviews on that. Much more coming up on that. I put a video up recently comparing it against the BMW F850 GS Adventure. Got a bit slammed for it because I didn't take it off road, etc. But these now I'm getting into this. These are the proper reviews. That one I put up was just a comparison. This is the proper review of the Adventure R as far as I'm concerned. More coming up on that. I've also got the Suzuki Katana coming up now. This is a bike that splits opinions. Again, last week I posted the review of the Yamaha Nikon, or Nikon, we still don't know how it's pronounced. That was a bike that splits opinions on its looks and its purpose. The Suzuki Katana, much the same, that's coming up soon as well, so look out for that. And I've got more on the FJR 1300, the big Yamaha touring bike that got amazing views. I did my initial ride of that again a couple of weeks ago. It's had loads of views, so I think this video will probably do quite well as well, so look out for that one. And one for your diary, do make a note, the next live stream, July the 22nd at 8 o'clock UK time. I'll be back here, sat here on that camera, talking to you, taking your questions and answers live. I absolutely love doing those live streams. If you can't see it live because you're in Australia or whatever, the timings don't work, I apologise, but you can of course watch the recorded version, and I do read through all the messages that come up there as well. So drop any questions for that at the end of the last one, and I'll try and pick them up for the next one, but look forward to speaking to you then. And then just one other thing I wanted to say, actually, it's now getting, and this is great, this is one of those, you know, victim of your own success things. I'm really pleased to say that the channel's really going well at the moment. I'm getting loads of views. From a viewing point of view, I know of only one other UK vlogger that gets more daily views than I get, so I'm absolutely chuffed about that. That's across the channel as a whole, so thank you very much for making that possible. But what that does mean is I get an awful lot of feedback, so I get comments on the YouTube videos, not just the ones I've posted, but all the back catalogue as well. Keep getting comments. I get lots of tweets, messages on Facebook, emails, Instagram. It has just got to the point where I can't guarantee to answer everybody. I'll try and answer as many as I can. I do guarantee to read them all, but I'm not necessarily able to answer them, so I can't guarantee that. I'm sorry. So don't think I've singled you out if I don't answer your comment. I will have read it, but there's so many hundreds a day I'm answering now, it's just got too much, so I apologise for that. I do guarantee, if you're a patron of mine though, if you want to message me via the Patreon system, then I absolutely 100% guarantee to answer all the Patreon messages that I get. That's one of the advantages of being one of them. So again, and thank you to you guys for signing up as well. We've now got something like 220 patrons. So again, link below, I think, or I'll put one in the corner if you want to go and check out my Patreon page. That would be fantastic. Alrighty, that's it for this time. Hope that's been of some interest. I always like doing these bike news things. They always go on a bit though, so sorry it's been a long one again. But I'll give you another roundup in a month's time. But in the meantime, don't forget that live Q&A. Would be great to see you then. And then loads of videos in the meantime to keep you interested. Alright, hope that's been of some interest. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Till then, this has been Missenden Flyer. Cheerio.